Minister, you'll be aware of the massive increases in operational costs faced by the hospitality sector this year. Electricity prices are skyrocketing, food prices are also up significantly, while insurance and other expenses are putting businesses at risk. While I of course welcome the measures for small and medium enterprises announced yesterday, the budget also quietly included the raising of the VAT for hospitality sector in March from 9% to 13.5%. Any supports that are allocated there will obviously be gobbled up by that. So what are you doing to support this struggling sector?
So, I propose to take parliamentary questions 6 and 7 together. The Taoiseach Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Employment and Minister Martin co-chair the Hospitality and Tourism Forum, and in the context of their specific roles, the focus of the Department of Tourism is on the development of tourist traffic within the state, or within or to the state, and the development and the marketing of tourist facilities and services in the state. The wider hospitality sector is a key enterprise sector as well, providing employment to people all over the country, and specific policy areas within the Taoiseach's department, such as the operation of the work permit system, are vital factors in how that sector operates. Minister Martin regularly meets with and remains open to engaging with a wide variety of tourism stakeholders and representative bodies, and department officials have also engaged with the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, Fáilte Ireland, Tourism Ireland and tourism representative bodies in order to further understand underlying issues around the recovery of the tourism sector, and to emphasise the importance of maintaining a strong value proposition at the core of tourism. The Recovery Oversight Group recently submitted its 4th report to Minister Martin. The report notes that while much headway has been made in implementing the recovery plan presented in September 20, a range of current tourism challenges are set out in the report, mean that significant headwinds remain. With regard to addressing the rising costs of operation which you referenced, the aim of Budget 23 is to support the tourism industry to recover and grow in a sustainable way. A total of €214.762 million has been allocated to the tourism sector. €15 million in additional funding has been secured for overseas marketing of Ireland. This includes €5 million to further develop a new tourism initiative aimed at stimulating international demand. An additional €15 million is being provided for a range of industry initiatives, including skills development and retention, domestic marketing, hosting of American college football and sustainability. Other allocations include €36.5 million in capital funding for tourism product development for the continued delivery of enhanced visitor experiences. Budget 23 includes wider measures that tourism business can avail of to assist with escalating energy costs and to plan for the future. This includes a €1.25 billion temporary business energy support scheme, providing qualifying businesses with up to 40% of the increase in electricity or gas bills, up to €10,000 per month. My officials have also sought clarification on a number of points of particular relevance to tourism to ensure the scheme offers the best possible support to the tourism sector.
Minister, I raised similar points with Minister Ryan last week, and I'm not convinced that you appreciate how many family business and SMEs are actually just close to closing. Many of these are family-run businesses that are close to closing. It's likely that many will at least temporarily shut during the winter, and some may not reopen without proper support. The VAT rate for the sector is increasing in March. The exorbitant prices people have to pay for some Dublin hotels was cited as a rationale for the change of the VAT, but the whole sector will have to pay for that. Rural businesses are suffering because of the prices charged in Dublin hotels. Minister, cafes, restaurants, pubs and hotels in rural areas like West Cork need targeted interventions now. Their closure will have a disproportionate effect not only in terms of people losing jobs, but reduced footfall and knock-on impacts for supplies and producers. Minister, another operating cost you will be aware of is the insurance and financial fees SMEs are being hit with. I know that it's not directly your responsibility, but it does seriously impact the viability of small businesses. West Cafe and Wine Bar and Bantry, a family-owned business, posted on social media how they had to pay over €800 in fees for card payments, and it was just for 2 months. That's ridiculous. During COVID, going cashless was encouraged, and now it's practically the norm, but businesses are paying severely for that. So you need to raise that with the Minister for Finance. It's just another operating cost on hard-pressed SMEs in the hospitality sector. And then another aside, but as well as relevant, is on top of those massive operational increases, on businesses in Bantry. Today, they've been forced to close for a whole business day as the town is without power. The ESB have cited essential maintenance, but surely that essential maintenance and that kind of disruption should be planned for overnight or on a Sunday, or anything to avoid further massive disruptions to already struggling businesses. We just need joined up thinking on this, because there's only so much businesses can take. We need you to support and invest in family business and SMEs now, because we'll pay dividends down the road and save many towns and villages. We know how crucial the hospitality sector was in recovering from the last recession.
Thank you, Deputy. And Fragler from Talon, no matter one.
Thanks very much, Deputy, and I share your frustration about the ESB, and there should be better coordination to support businesses in towns and villages when particular maintenance has to be done. And it's unfortunate that a day's business has been lost, and there should be better engagement there. On your point, I will raise and reflect the issue on the costs of card payments to the Minister for Finance. And just to say, relating to the reduced VAT rate, as you know, in line with the recommendation in the Tourism Recovery Plan, a reduced VAT of 9% for the sector was introduced from the 1st of November. It was originally designed to apply until the end of 2021, and the reduced VAT rate was subsequently extended until the 31st of August 22 and later to February 23. Thousands of tourism and hospitality businesses across the country did not have to apply two different VAT rates during the year, which further enabled them to stabilise their businesses, and it promoted business survival, supported employment, and helped to somewhat stabilise prices in the sector during, as we know, a very difficult time with COVID. And the reduced VAT rate has been a very important element of business support secured for the sector in the last 2 years as it's being rebuilt. And as you know, it's something that Minister Donoghue has referenced. It's something that is obviously is one of a number of measures that the government has provided for businesses over the course of the pandemic, and it was designed as a temporary measure with the sunset clause included in the enacting legislation, but it will be kept under review, as Minister Martin has stated previously. And just to look, we fully acknowledge the impact of the cost inflation and the economic stresses and difficulties that businesses are facing around food, energy costs, increased wages in a very competitive labour market, and also the cost of insurance, which I know is affecting businesses. And that's why the government has provided and is providing significant support, why there's a lot of coordination with the tourism and hospitality sector, co-chair between Minister Martin and the Taoiseach, and really trying to partner and support with businesses over the winter period. And talk to no matter one at all.
Thanks, Minister, and I accept you have lots of engagement with the sector, and ultimately there's just a significant discrepancy between what tourism and hospitality businesses are telling me in Cork South West and the messaging from you and your department and others, and you have to be getting similar briefings to me, but the urgency and the need is not being reflected in government policy in the budget. I recognise it's a cross-departmental matter, and I appreciate you saying you'll talk to the other ministers about the other relevant issues, but you're the Cabinet Minister responsible for tourism, and it is a major employer, especially in rural areas where communities are dependent solely on tourism and agriculture as an industry. And I do recognise what you're saying about the VAT rate. I suppose the point that I'm trying to get across is that there is such a profound difference in how businesses operate in a rural area compared to how businesses operate in Dublin. And if it is needed to increase the hospitality rate, then can there be more targeted supports for those businesses in a rural area? Because you just can't compare the kind of price gouging of hotels in the capital city to how hotels operate in a more rural area. And although somehow the government couldn't figure out how to target particular households in relation to the energy crisis, somehow you did manage to figure out how to do that in relation to businesses. So what I'm asking for is, will you and your department look at more targeted supports for businesses in those areas who can't operate in the same way at the same speed as more urban-based hotels and restaurants and cafes, and really look at a more targeted support for people in those areas? Like I said, they are the single largest employer in many towns and villages.
We absolutely acknowledge the importance of the tourism and hospitality sector and employment around our regions, and that's why there's, if you look at say for example in budget 22, the government allocated €67.6 million in additional funding for tourism which brought the budget to 288 million. There was 50 million euro for tourism business continuity, many schemes through Fáilte Ireland in 22. There was the 8 million euro Restart Grant Plus scheme. There was the Tourism Recovery Plan, which increased tourism marketing from 46 to 81 million. Fáilte Ireland's marketing group scheme. And so there's been, if you look at the last 2 years and the unprecedented support that the government has given the tourism and hospitality sector through COVID and keeping that viability right through that period. And that's why Minister Donoghue has established the new TBES scheme, which I think will mitigate some of the costs that businesses face, not all of the costs, but we want to ensure continued employment and viability in that sector. And Minister Martin and the Taoiseach regularly engage and work with the sector on the challenges they face, and that will continue during the winter period. So we can, we have got, Tuesday was about getting significant allocations for the sector. That's happened again, and the horizontal supports will help them through the coming months, and I will reflect your feedback to Minister Martin too.
Gursan Tara, Anis Arag, Burmi Arag,